Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Friday. We've had a good week, and you know what that means? Let's blow it all. No. Actually, I think I'm going to be very hesitant to do anything today. But we do have some news. We might have some opportunities. So, let's go to the charts and talk about what happened yesterday and overnight. All right. So, the S&P 500, it had an okay day yesterday. It moved up a little bit and then came back. It wasn't anything too crazy, but there was a pretty good move up into the close. There were some companies that had some pretty awful earnings. Intel and Snap in particular just got decimated last night. All right, so coming over here to the treasuries, yeah, we had another one that was just like exactly the same thing. Oh, you know, yeah, we got an okay move down, and then we get out because it's the end of our time period, and it just goes so much further. And I kind of wonder, because we've had fades into Fridays as well, but you know, how much further can it go? I don't know, because I kind of feel like it's appropriately priced, but investors just hate it. A little bit of flattening over here on the longer end of the curve once again, though. So they don't believe that the yields are going to be substantially higher 30 years into the future, which is interesting. Okay, over here, we got oil. Oil spiking up again this morning. It was just kind of a middling day yesterday, but we are back up above $84. Natural gas even maybe taking a little bit of a jump here. Gold and silver moving on the upside because we got the dollar is looking a little weak. I'll show you in a second. Copper took a little bit of a dive yesterday, ranging this morning. Bitcoin had a little bit of a flash crash yesterday. Not doing much since then. I'm worried for Bitcoin because Mount Gox whale is going to come in and decimate them. They've got like a month. They've got like a month left, and then it could get ugly. Okay, the dollar. You can see the dollar strengthening a little bit yesterday, and despite the drop here, trying to come back, but not anywhere close to being back at 94 where it was. And then last but not least, the real reason you're here, right? No, probably not for you guys, the five of you that come here and are on time, but DWAC. Holy shnikes. Look at the overnight action on this, peaking up to as high as $92. So here's the thing on DWAC, which we will call it. Because it was a SPAC, a lot of online forums, Wall Street Bets in particular, have banned discussion of SPACs. So there was literally only one popular post on Wall Street Bets about this stock. A lot of discussion on it, but like only one post, and it was like super late in the day. So the public consciousness of this stock is a lot lower than it should be. There are probably a lot more buyers out there. Now, I've been looking at it. I've been looking at it. Are you tempted to sell now? I do believe that there are some prices that it could get to. I mean, it would have to do zany things, but I think there are some prices at which I might have to think about taking it off. But I can't tell you where they are. We'll just have to deal with that when we get there. But it is doing zany things. That's I mean, what else can you say? It's doing zany things. And it's likely, the thing is that the liquidity on this thing is going to be just absolutely crap. is going to be all over the place. Just remember that, like, when Tesla went live with its SPAC, it got up to like, I think like 6 billion or something like that. Like this could still go up 10 times from here, believe it or not. I think that if this got to $1,000, that would be a little bit crazy, but it's possible that it could get to those kinds of levels. Okay, so not saying that you should go buy it, but you definitely shouldn't be selling it. Okay, definitely don't be going short on this thing. All right, I don't want to have to scold anybody. Why would you get in front of a train? That said, we shouldn't rule out the possibility that this thing just completely collapses. There could be some piece of news out there that we don't know about. Something drops about the management. I don't know. I've been looking at it. The people that started the SPAC, they aren't necessarily like the best. You know, I'm not like, oh yeah, this is a great CEO and finance. Nah. I don't know if the guys that led this SPAC matter, because I think like you reorganize the company, they just become investors, and when you elect a new board and a CEO and all that stuff, right? And I would assume that Donald Trump would be the CEO. I don't know, man. It's crazy to game out. I really don't know what's gonna happen. So, but the real question here is, where are we gonna put this? I don't have it. I have any room. Can't put it here. Can't put it here. I guess I could put it in the corner. I guess I could. Yeah. I could put it over here. Don't want to completely cover up my treasuries, but how about that? Are we good? What is that? It is the Donald Trump Special Purpose Acquisition Vehicle. Yes, I own DWAC shares. We did a little special stream yesterday in the afternoon, because after the stream I went and, because I heard about it during the stream early in the morning, but I didn't really think too much about it. Then I went back and looked at it, and it was at $18, and I caught. You see that little dip right there, man? Got in. Oh man, such a lucky entry. Such a lucky entry. I do think this could be something that you probably can just hold, and it never comes anywhere close to coming back to that. But I also think that there's probably going to be a lot of drama at some point. Like here today, Donald Trump. What? Okay, so let's go back through the story. Donald Trump is launching a social media network called Truth Social. Truth Social, from what we can tell, they didn't say any of this in their press release, but people were able to find a test version of the website up there at the URL and dink around with it. And it appears to be based off of, what is it called? Mammoth or something like that. There's an open source, decentralized social media network out there already, and it looks like what they're building is a fork of that. Okay. So it's kind of more of a Facebook, Twitter hybrid sort of a thing with decentralization. Okay. Truth Social. Then in addition to that, they also are going to launch a news service and a streaming service. They're going to launch a streaming service. So these guys are literally talking about like competing with Amazon Web Services and stuff like that. Okay. In the future, they want to have like the tech infrastructure and everything. That's what they're saying. Okay. And then they want to make the company public immediately. So what they did was they partnered with a SPAC. So this SPAC, DWAC, is going to be buying the Donald Trump, it's going to be called Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG. Okay. So this SPAC is what's bringing Trump Media and Technology Group public, and that's why it's getting all of the attention. There are warrants. So my understanding is now, after having looked into it a little bit more, there are warrants, DWACW, and those are the warrants for you to buy it at $10 or whatever. So now that it's beyond that, there's no point in having them. But oh yeah, Alec Baldwin shooting. Yeah, that's a really weird story. I don't know what to think about that one. The Zero Hedge had a story about it. I was like, this doesn't really seem finance related. But yeah, apparently Alec Baldwin was on set, on set, it was like The Crow. It was like The Crow. He shot the gun and it actually killed somebody. It killed like the assistant of photography or whatever. Yes. DWAC left a door open on their site and they've already been hacked. Somebody took the name Mike Pence and somebody did a nutty with a big photo. Yes. Maybe you heard about the Trump meeting going public. Yeah. So again, for those of you that missed it, because it was a SPAC, it didn't really get the widespread meat coverage that you would normally get, particularly on Reddit. So it was only like after markets that people started to like realize what was going on. You realize this thing is up like 45% overnight or something. Like it's just really crazy. Now we'll have to deal with all the gun experts on the internet. How could this happen? I don't know. Well, I think that this just means that Alec Baldwin needs to make the movie like really moody and stuff. And I really don't know how that happens. You'll load it wrong or something. We have at Powell at 11 Eastern time. Yes, yeah, I'll be gone by then. We do have now, in terms of news, we've got the market PMI numbers. And manufacturing numbers have been really important lately, so I think that number is going to matter. I don't know what the markets are going to do until then. It's very curious to me that the Treasuries opened with a strong opening drive. That opening drive was just a retracement of, the little bit of overnight down action. So I'm kind of a little hesitant to try and make a play over here in the Treasuries. I mean, if we were going to take something based on what we know right now, it would have to be a short, right? Have to be a short in the Treasuries. But I don't know. Like, look, there's selling 4,000 and there's an iceberg on it. That's not, that's not what we want to see. Not on a Friday. Oh, big orders both ways. Yes, is it going to be reasonable? 5? No. That's all. The only one that is released early, I think, is the Chicago PMI. Let me blow my nose here. Now, just another warning, I have DWAC in the title of the video again today. It's too early for most of those stock traders right now, but as we get closer to the S&P 500 open, I think we might see a few more viewers today. So play nice. They might have some strange ideas or politics that are different to yours, but we can all get along. Yesterday, Ace was a little bit like anti-Trump in this room. Don't ruin this for me, guys. Okay, let's all be on our best behavior for the guests, the stock traders that will be coming in. Alec Baldwin was on my soap opera back when I was a teen in the 70s. He was so pretty. What, really? There was wait. What does young Alec Baldwin? Okay, yeah, I can see it. In his old age, it's not as good. Yeah, he looks like what is his name? Ryan Gosling. He looks like Ryan Gosling. Wow, they look so similar. You know who I'm into though. I have to. I mean, maybe it's just because of TikTok. Ryan Reynolds, man, that is a good looking guy. Like I don't know what a good looking guy looks like. I mean, I don't have that kind of natural ability like a woman does, but I know that guy is good looking. But the thing about Ryan Gosling, he's like the everyday man good looking guy, right? Like I can relate to Ryan Reynolds. He's not like some hulking huge guy or has some weird, he's just like a normal guy that happens to be really good looking. A Straits just couldn't resist poking the Trump support. I know, right? No. He didn't go away. They stayed until the end. You be careful with those types, right? Because the whole thing on the Trump side is that they love to get under the skin of liberals, right? Even though Ace isn't really a liberal, he just doesn't like Donald Trump. You don't get Ryan Reynolds. I don't think he is good looking. I think the odd, quirky looking guy is Bogey Spock. Eric Roberts is handsome, but is more Robert Redford. Really? Okay. There's this whole thing on like a TikTok. They're like, what is it that men want? What is it that men find attractive? And then they all say Ryan Reynolds. I am not anti or pro anything. You're not smart enough. Oh, come on, Lucas. I think you're like me. You're pro making money. He comes into the stream at just the right time to see Seth talking about how hot guys are. I only know Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. Here's the thing that I think is weird about attractiveness. I honestly believe that 90% of people could look extremely attractive if they're just done up well enough. Like a lot of it is you get like makeup and taking care of your skin and having a good haircut and stuff like that, right? There's especially for women, there are very few women that have features that are really, really distracting. And although I must say there's a subreddit for like plastic surgery, and oh my gosh, there's so many pictures of women where I'm like, oh man, she looks okay, and then you see after the plastic surgery and it's like, oh my gosh. So health is critical. Yeah, I mean, I think really in the end, attractiveness is just like, are they healthy looking? There's only very, very few traits that are so distracting that makes somebody, every once in a while there's somebody that just has a really disgusting nose, but most people with just, the right makeup and everything else can look very, very attractive. I've seen some famous people outside the screen where I'm from, and they look so much more normal than what they look like in stream. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's all fake. It's all fake. Men divided into two categories for me in regards to their looks. One looks like men, Robert Redford, Clint Eastwood. The other look like boys, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt. I like men to look like men, not boys. Oh, there you go. Okay, I understand what you're saying. The DWAC is just like all over the place, but it's up at 80. We're gonna have to zoom in on this, I think, huh? There we go. Anyways, I always never mind. I do. Like, I think it's really weird that, like, you see a movie star, like, like, oh, like that guy's generally good looking just because he's, like, clean and healthy, right? But that, like, like, you see a guy walking on the street, and my wife will be like, that guy's really good looking, and that guy's not, and whatever. I'm like, I can't tell. How do they? What is it that they see? Women do not see it the same way this guy does. I mean, literally big heads. That ES is on a pretty good downtrend at the moment, wouldn't you say? Now, they're right on the edge of a really low spot in the profile, so I'm interested to see if they cross over the 45-42 or not. I read the camera. Oh my gosh. Okay, so can I change the subject now? Cameras. Sony yesterday announced their new camera. $2,500 plus $200 if you want to get the kit lens for the new Sony A7 IV. And I'm super conflicted because here's the thing. This camera right here is, the focus on it is terrible. The autofocus on this thing is completely useless. And it's a problem because if I want to set it all up by myself, I can't focus the camera by myself. I can't focus the camera by myself. So along comes the Sony A7 IV, and it has eye autofocus, which is great. And there's all these little enhancements so that you can't see the autofocus breathe, which is where it kind of focuses in and out. No, it's like almost perfect focus. I was really impressed by the tests that I saw on YouTube. But Sony, it has this kind of trying to differentiate their camera lines. So apparently the Sony A7S line is supposed to be more for video, and the Sony A Plus is the top of the line photography lens or camera, and the Sony A7 IV and 5 and whatever they come with in the future is the hybrid. They call it a true hybrid. So even though it's a full frame camera, you can't record full frame at 4K resolution. So everybody is kind of down on the camera because they can't record full frame in 4K. And I'm like, well, probably what we need to do is we need to wait for a Sony A7S IV, right? So that we get the improvements to the autofocus and the 4 full K full frame stuff, right? But I don't want to wait a year. I want this now because I'm sick of having to try and work with the focus on this stupid Canon. I think 4K is important if you want to look at the tiny numbers on the dome. The idea is that rationals want a mind mate while artisans want a playmate, and guardians need a helpmate while idealists look for a soulmate. You know what? I used to, when I first became single, I thought about those sorts of things a lot, and I kind of realized that none of it freaking mattered, and I just went and found somebody that I could have a secure relationship with. And I didn't really think, and I just kind of let things happen and didn't, I stopped overthinking it. Doesn't mean that she's not any of those, that my wife isn't any of those things. It's just I stopped trying to make that happen logically. Treasury's 2 ticks higher. Yes, yeah. We should be clear. Win is in her 50s or 60s, so she's not coming after you guys. That's funny. Anyways, so I'm sitting here, and here's the other thing. I want it now. This camera, it's not going to be released until December. Until December 30th. It ships December 30th. So that must really, does Sony doing that on purpose? They doing that on purpose? Why did they miss the holiday deadline? Or was it really normally they would want to make the holiday deadline and they just couldn't? Inquiring minds want to know. But I don't know. The guys that I would really look to for this kind of recommendation on whether it would be appropriate for my stream and for YouTube, they haven't said anything about it yet. So we'll see. But I could get it. I could get together $2,700. I don't know if I really should or not. What do you guys think? It was kind of hard because I want to invest back into the stream. Getting a nice camera would be a really good way to invest back into the stream, but there might be better ways too. And we can always just use that and trade with it in the future too. But is there a Chinese copy there? No. So it's a very top of the line camera, right? $2,500. Oh my gosh. So now that I've looked at some camera stuff, YouTube shows me all of the camera videos and influencers. Because there's a pretty big, some of the biggest YouTubers on YouTube are photography guys, right? So there's this new camera by the same guys that make, by DJI Pro. So the same guys that make the quadricopters with a camera built onto it, right? And this camera has full stabilization into it. So it's not just a gimbal, but if you move up and down, it also stabilizes the camera. And then it has a remote monitor that goes up to 2,000 meters or something like that. And it also has a LiDAR detector on it. So that camera, the way that it determines where it puts its focus is based off of what the LiDAR is putting out. So it can see where your face is and stay focused on your face perfectly because of the LiDAR detector on it, right? So it's got 3 major big improvements, but it's like an $18,000 camera. No, that was me. So I have a laptop for my work, and I have both my PC and my laptop plugged into a USB hub. And when you turn on the computer, the USB hub automatically switches. And for some reason, my laptop in the morning will do something at some random time and kind of wake up, and the USB hub will switch. So that was just me clicking the hub to move it back to the mouse being over here. The robots aren't enabled. We should turn that on. I think I haven't been as focused on the robot because number one, I've been doing really well myself, but then number two is there's just some fundamental problems with him. I think that the signal that he's got is good. I think the signal that he's got is absolutely golden, but it needs more. It needs way more. Like it doesn't get out in the right situations, and there are times when it will try fading it and really shouldn't. And I think that the solution to these problems is going to be some sort of machine learning neural network, maybe including the level 2 into it. And I've been trying to get that to work for NinjaTrader, and I keep running into setbacks with it. So we'll see how that goes. Being able to buy it is not the problem. I have the money to buy it. I'm just not sure if that's really a wise allocation of my resources. 2,500 does a lot, right? But I just feel like I should be putting out more videos, and I think that the not being able to focus the camera myself is one of the things that's really holding me back. Like, I could do something where I could take the camera, move it over onto the tripod over there, move the lights, and probably have everything set up in a minute, and then record a quick video. And I could do a quick video like that every day, possibly, if I could set things up quickly. But when I need somebody else to come in and do it, it's a problem. So oh my gosh, last week I forgot to put the garbage out, and the recycling only comes every other week, and so I've just had no room in my recycling bin for cardboard. And my wife, she gets a lot of stuff on Amazon. We buy a lot of just the goods that we need on Amazon, and so there's lots of cardboard to get rid of. There's a big pile in the garage. Next week, when it's clean again, I'll have to tear them all down and fill it right back up. Okay, so DWAC is at 83, eh? Hey, Stick, how are you? I'm really kind of, I don't know. Here's the thing. Every time that I've tried going long these treasuries, it hasn't worked out for me in the past, like, week. Like, my win rate on shorts is like 60%, and my win rate on longs is like 40, 45 or something. So, like, it seems like that's the right move, is to go long right now, and I'm just like, I'm really worried about it. And I'm a little worried about just why is it doing that right now anyways. So yeah, it's probably best that I just kind of be like hands off. Okay, what's that paper called? So I think the one that you're talking about is the Albert Kyle 1985 is what you want. Albert Kyle 1985. Realize the Kyle model is flawed. The primary flaw in the Kyle model is that the Kyle model assumes linear impact. And we know that it is not linear, it is square root, which means that you can't trade quite as many contracts as the Kyle model suggests. And so you would have to, there are like lots of ways to extend the Kyle model and get a more accurate estimate, which as you get larger matters more and more. But for a retail trader, linear impact is good enough, unless you're trying to judge the impact of like a big move or something. Yep. There's something else that we wanted to look at. I don't know. So I'm going to make a I want to make. So how can I use that in my trading? Well, so the primary thing that you learn from the Kyle model. This is the important thing about the Kyle model. Okay, there's two important things. Number one, the market. The Kyle model is very effective at describing market participants. That's the thing that I think is the most useful part of it to a retail trader, right? There are market makers, informed traders, and noise traders. And the person that has the real advantage is the informed trader, right? The market maker doesn't want to trade against the informed trader. Both the market maker and the informed trader rely upon the noise trader to make their money. The informed trader needs the noise trader to hide their activity from the market maker so that the market maker doesn't know what's going on. And the market maker needs the noise traders to be able to average out, the mistakes and deal with the adverse excursion that comes from the informed trader coming into the market. Okay. So what do you want to be? It's best if you're the informed trader, and you would prefer not to be the noise trader, but unfortunately, many of us are, and apparently you can be profitable from noise trading, but it's very, very difficult. Okay, so that's the first thing that's important. The second thing that's important is that the Kyle model explains to us how orders impact the market, and it describes a mechanism for us to understand how orders move price, right? Once we understand that orders move price, then all of these other things kind of start to become clear. For instance, why the market is so statistically efficient. Because orders have impact, and because you can fairly well calculate how much edge there is in something, right? So if there's a technical edge out there, these automated traders, they can precisely arbitrage it out. And that's what, like, guys at like Renaissance Technologies do. Is they might be finding an aberration in the order flow, and they know exactly the number of contracts to trade to take it out of the market. And that's why they only trade the fund a certain size, right? It's because they know exactly how much the market can handle. Asking for a friend. Anyways, so that's the really key thing that we get from the Kyle model. But I think those are the only ones that I've really talked about a lot. There was that one. There was the Walrusian auction, Walrasian. Maybe it's Walrasian. Sorry, not Russian. It's Walrasian. Or is it Walrasian? I don't know. But that's a really key study. That's where we find out about how large orders can kind of create holes. How do you find that exact amount? Well, you run through the model. You'd have to look at the standard deviation of volume and the standard deviation of price movement. And there's the calculation that you go through that will tell you, based on a move of X points, what the optimal number of contracts would be to trade out that inefficiency. And then if you were to actually be using it and like automated trading, you would want to be trading a fraction of that number. Like a quarter of that or something like that. Or if you knew how many orders were going to come through, like you knew how large of a short position a certain fund had, you could try and calculate how much impact they would have on the stock for them covering their position. Is what I want to know is because how is it exact? Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily exact. It's kind of more of a statistical estimate, right? They're looking at, on average, how much volume tends to go through the market at that time, and then you could look at the liquidity. You could look at the actual order book to estimate, how far it goes. But instead, in the Kyle model, what they're doing is they're looking at how much that volume tends to make the price move, right? And then you can come in and say, okay, this is how far I want it to move. How many contracts should I be able to trade? But just go read the paper. 1985. It's funny because that particular part was not like the key formula out of it, right? Because we're looking at it from the perspective of the informed trader. But I think that Albert Kyle was thinking of it more of the perspective of the market maker. How much should the market maker change his bid or offer price based on how much volume he's seen come in? And it's basically the basis of modern market making algorithms. And then they go in and they add stuff like correlated instruments and machine learning, reading the order book, and all of these other things that we talk about. And you come up with a really fast and effective market making algorithm. Mm-hmm. Well, they're pushing the outside on this pretty well. I am seeing like pretty light takes though, so. Okay, why a fraction of that and why? Because it's an estimate. So if you were to trade the maximum of that, you would be responsible for the majority of the volume during that time period. Okay, which is too much. So other participants at that point would probably catch on to you. So it's probably better to assume a fraction of it, like a quarter of it. In my version of the indicator, when I did it, it seemed to me that you should take a quarter of that. But I'm just kind of guesstimating on that. By the way, guys, if you haven't hit the like button already, please do so. That'll help us get up in the directory listing. But I'm going to make some videos about the order book. We'll talk a little bit about the Santa Fe model, which I think is a kind of a good one to be aware of as well. Santa Fe model is what I think is the most accurate depiction of what actually happens in the order book. And that's kind of where we get this idea of there are different forces. There are market orders, limit orders, and limit orders canceling. And in the Santa Fe model, again, every order has a certain impact. Are you still holding the DWAC? Yes. Is it something you look at from a futures perspective? I have no idea on how futures work. We were talking about the Albert Kyle model, Lucas. Just get the Markets Under the Microscope book, man. They talk about all of these in there. It's like the big overview. It's like you read that book, and then you go turn around and you read the actual studies that the book was based on. You're like, oh. No time to sweat on size when trading fixed income. Yeah. For what we're doing, it's not necessarily particularly relevant, but it is. I think it's a really useful thing to understand that they literally can calculate what is the optimal size for them to trade. Like there's a mathematical way of expressing optimal trade size for large participants. Okay, anyways, so in terms of futures, so what I'm looking at with futures really has absolutely nothing to do with DWAC other than that, you know, all stocks do tend to follow the index to a certain degree. But with this one, DWAC is probably not going to have as strong of a correlation. It can just do its own thing. So, and the issue is that what I do in futures and what I do with order flow, I do not have the data to see that in the stocks. So I might see a chart pattern that might suggest that a certain kind of market condition is occurring, but it's hard for me to really truly know if that's what's going on. It was this Cambridge. Inventory models. Ooh. These guys are probably talking about some things that I'm not familiar with. So I will save that one for later. I mean, Kyle's, oh, there it is. Kyle fought both batch auction market sequence of actions. Informed traders observe signal about value of security. Traders submit and buy, sell orders. Only market orders, only quantity specified. Simultaneous order submission. Traders are anonymous. Auctioneer collects all orders and fixes the price. Kyle assumes auctioneer sets 0 expected profit prices. Auction price and net aggregate order flow are all revealed to all traders, then go to the next trading round. Yeah. Uninformed trader gives a random order of size. Yep, so that's the noise trader. The informed trader gives an order of size X that maximizes his expected trading profits. Okay. Here, bring it over here. So here he's saying that based on how far he expects it to go. I think that I'm not sure what these, I forget which variables are what, but he's basically saying based on how far I expect it to go. Auctioneer observes aggregate order flow and sets a price B according to a 0 expected profit rule. Okay. Which basically means that he looks at the order flow that's coming in from this informed trader, and he sets his bids and offers so that he only makes the spread, essentially. Assume this price schedule is linear, which is not true. Right. And then this is getting into how do you the lambda, which is basically the impact that you have. Yep, it's right here. I know. The formulas that were in that book I thought were a lot easier to read because I could go to the back of the book and see what are each variable in this, where this slideshow doesn't really tell us that stuff. But I think that it's like rho is the standard deviation of volume during the period, and this U is like the standard deviation of how far it tends to go in that period, and P is his price. So this isn't the formula that I was showing you guys. This is okay. What is V? I think that this is the observed volume in the period. I don't know what B is. Maybe B is the previous bid. And then here you're using the volume, right? Oh, okay. He's got a different. This rho squared of V is the deviation of volume, and this is the deviation of price, I think, right? X plus U, how much it moved, right? So then that's where he sets his best bid, right? The informed traders problem, yeah, that's it right here. 1/2 lambda, yeah, that's it right there. I show you in my video, remember, in my it's in the last video on developing your own strategies. The last video on developing your own strategies, I show you this formula, but what I show you on screen lists out what the variables are. Yeah. I think I need to get to the point where I can really derive all of these for you by hand here on the stream. I want to get to that point, but I don't understand it on quite that level yet. Like I feel like I'm probably not the most qualified person to be teaching this kind of stuff, but I'm the only person that talks about it in the retail trading space, and I want to be to the point where I am the most qualified person to teach it, right? Well, are we seeing this rise in the treasuries because the equity market is just looking so sad? The equity market really did come down there. Like, remember we were saying, are they going to get below the 42? And yeah, they just careened down through it. Didn't even care that it was there. I am seeing gold is taking gold recovering 1800 this morning. That's a good move for them. Let's go, champ. I thank you, NASDAQ. How are you doing today? So I had bacon and a bran muffin. I'm feeling a little woozy at the moment. It may just be because I was talking a lot there. Need to relax a little. I think, well, I'm just all of a sudden starting to feel a little woozy, but overall I think I'm feeling pretty good. You know what? It's probably also just because my gut is, you know what? Yesterday for dinner, I had a lot for dinner, and that's hitting my intestine. That's probably why I'm getting a little. Well, I shaved, so that's probably why I look a little better today. Gray skies, which means that it might rain today. And I find this really curious that the treasuries, they've been moving up, but the order flow has been really lackluster, wouldn't you say? Order flow has been really lackluster. By the way, if you haven't hit that like button already, please hit the like button for us. Really help the channel out. Excuse me. What was that, Vin? You're gonna make me go and find it for you, aren't you? It's this one right here. This one. Moving up and sideways this whole week. You know, I don't know. I mean, it was a much lighter week this week anyways. So you really do kind of have to wonder, you coming in on Friday, just like I am. I think that every trader does the same, that professional traders, they kind of do the same kind of gaming things out that I just did there, where I say, okay, well, I did pretty well this week, but action was a little bit lackluster. That means that I probably shouldn't be putting on too much risk today. There's not much reason for me to be putting on a ton of risk, right? And then that's why you come in here. The treasury, it is moving up, but it looks like it's mostly moving up because of risk off sentiment, and the order flow is just like really lackluster. Like it's just ticking through like it's nothing. And before all of that, there was some like big icebergs. So I had a bunch of comments overnight. Yeah, Mac for trading. Seriously, almost all the trading software out there supports PC only, no Mac yet. Yeah, no Macs. I mean, you could get like a Mac and run Windows on it, but oh man, what kind of width would you recommend for the desk to have for a 27-inch monitor? I'm not sure if I should go after the 60 millimeter centimeter or 80 centimeter wide. Let's see here. If you have a monitor stand, then the monitors can hang beyond the desk. My desk is about 72 inches though. My desk is 72 inches. In Big at Fun at $2 and DWAC at 19. Hey, you got a good spot, yeah. All the open on this thing is gonna be zany, I think, yeah. Oh, I think it's gonna be pretty zany. YouTube Finance says risk off sentiment. You say, yeah. I mean, it's not like a huge deal. When I say that, I don't want you guys to get like overly excited about it. But I mean, just come and look over at the market. So here, when we're looking at the E-mini, there was a little bit of upside action overnight, but now we've turned over, and this last move since we've started really has been a pretty aggressive decline. And as we have declined, and you kind of look at when things started, right? When the E-mini really started to turn over, that's when the treasury started buying up. And you can also see that because the treasuries are moving back up, Gold and silver are doing well. Am I still having a problem with oil? Yeah, okay. We need to be in December. That's a little better. Yeah, and you can kind of see it coming into the Japanese yen too. Japanese yen tends to move up when there's risk off sentiment. So generally overall, the markets are kind of risk off right now. Now that could change. It's probably could have the E-mini open up here and it turn into a gangbuster day. It's totally possible, especially if, we're getting a little bit of selling ahead of time. I only use one monitor, 49 inches is enough. Oh, you got one big one, eh? I was surprised, Versus started with the ultra wides. Did you see this on? I used to think, well, Linus Tech Tips, well, it's an okay channel, but now I'm starting to realize, I really like that channel. You know what? It's always bad to idolize people because they're always going to do something to disappoint you, and just every single person, you're gonna get something in your head that's not true. And then you're going to be disappointed when you actually meet them and it doesn't match the reality. Yeah. But that Linus guy, I am just so impressed with how he was able to turn this tiny little, I'm just doing tech tips on YouTube boutique sort of a thing and turning it into a multi-million-dollar entertainment company. And, with multiple channels and dozens of employees, and I would love nothing more than to turn this channel into something similar, to as we become more and more successful, to branch out, to hire other people to do analysis about different types of things, so that we'd have people that are doing stock analysis and everything related with finance. I'm so impressed with that channel. Anyways, he had one of those ultra wide monitors, right? And then he was like, well, I would love to have an ultra wide and then another ultra wide on top of that. But then they came out with a monitor that was curved, that was just the double stacked size. And so now you can literally get one monitor that would be the size of 6 27-inch monitors. It's crazy, right? My man, you are crazy. No, I'm not. Anthony, the big guy, the really Linux centered guy, that he's the true techie. Him and you gotta understand, him and Linus kind of understand the hardware and the tech on a higher nerdy level. Than I understand it on. I've never been a super huge hardware guy. Okay, Ace is going short. Well, I'm seeing some price levels here that make me nervous about trying to go short here. There might be a little bit of a bounce. Gold fell a lot. Well, where are you getting at exactly? We come back over here to gold. Hey, remember, was it way back over here, right? Way back over here when gold fell below 1800, and it's just kind of been going sideways, and now recovering it again. It's a really positive move for gold. He says it was near highs. Okay. So it came back a little bit. Cool. You smash NQ, easier to push around there. I'm telling you, the orders have a larger impact than people initially expect. And especially in the NQ, something you got to think about a little bit. It would be really hard to just be looking at your one lot and say, how much does my one lot actually affect things? But just realize that it does have an impact. I think they're an NQ in particular. Like, you don't want to go and just click something just because you feel like clicking, right? Because it will find a way to make you pay. You need to have a real edge, some sort. Forex Live tweets the S&P 500 futures open are flat ahead of the open with pressure on tech. Yes, because of Intel earnings were terrible. I didn't say that a single trader could push the market around. I said your impact is larger than you realize. So remember what we've learned about the inelastic market hypothesis. So researchers, they've gone through and done an analysis, and they basically said, if I sell some bonds and turn around and buy the stock market with that, how much does that increase the aggregate market cap of the overall stock market? And they found that when you put $1 in, that results in a $3 to $8 increase in the market cap. So your orders are think of it as your orders have 5 times the impact that you realize that they do. So when you're watching the NQ and you click in there, of course, you're not going to see it like, oh, it's immediately going to tick up and, clearly my order has this huge impact. No, it's kind of hard to see that because it's not granular enough to do that, right? But that one order does have an effect. It does have an effect. And you should realize that effect does work against you, okay? So the thinner that the instrument is, the more wary you've got to be about, coming in and just doing something willy-nilly because you want to take a trade. Because if you just take that one order in there and it's random, the way that the market makers adjust for it and everything, on average, it will screw you over. Okay, so you might not see it on an individual trade, but when you go over 100, 1,000 trades, you should be able to see a difference between what the market would do when you took the trade versus you didn't take the trade. So if you're going to take a trade over there, you really should have an edge. You should really have a reason that it's going to get to your target before it's going to get to your stop. How could you even trade on that? Well, yeah, I think you asked that question before I answered it, but that's my answer. Is that the answer is that because even your one lot does have a measurable impact, you really need to have an edge if you're going to take a trade, and that the lighter the liquidity is, the larger that factor is going to play in your performance. It depends on the market liquidity and your size. Right? The larger your size is, the greater of an effect that is going to play in your performance. To the point that when large banks make these kinds of transactions, it's so much so that it basically prevents them from being able to trade that kind of a strategy. Is this thing going to open above $100? You seen this? They're at 99 right now. Only if you're big enough for the market maker to intervene. Well, I mean, again, it's not like you're going to take the order and they're going to immediately move against you because they saw your one order. Because of course, there's dozens and hundreds of other orders out there too. But what I am saying is that over a large sample of trades, if you were able to go back into the future, say you take the trades and then take a time machine and go back and don't take the trades, there'd be a measurable difference. And that measurable difference would hurt you. Works against you. If you do 100 turnaround trades with, So let me try and quantify it for you here in the NASDAQ, right? NQ. for NQ, you guys are usually trading like 1 minute trades, right? If that. So add Alice. And let's make the target in the Nasdaq's got to be more than 2, right? Let's put it at 4. Let's put it at a 4-point target on the NQ. Okay, so it is saying that if your size was 50 lots, you'd have a problem. Like, there would be no point in trading larger than 50 lots right now. In theory, it would hurt me only on my exits, not my fills. Well, both your exit and your entry are going to have an impact, right? Tom says, I didn't buy much, but I'm like, I should take my initial investment and let the rest right. Okay, so first of all, if you have to ask me a question like that, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But since you're already in there, okay, I'm looking at this. I expect that there will be more people buying than selling today. So I believe that DWAC will continue to move up. It could get to levels at which we might have to start thinking like, okay, this is getting a little bit ahead of itself. I mean, like if this turned into a 10 or 20 bagger all of a sudden, then maybe I need to start thinking about taking it off, right? You're biased. Well, so remember I said I don't think this is a good spot. This is why you need to go and install my indicator, Ace. You install it and give me your machine ID and I'll enable it for you. But right there at the seller's cost basis, you've got to be. I'm not saying that like you can always take a trade there as a bounce, but you know, at the very least, you got to really reconsider if it's that the momentum is just going to continue through there. Right? There's enough of a probability of a bounce that you kind of got to be hands off in that situation. Now, if you were really looking for a long, then that would be a great place to take a long. But I wouldn't take a long just because it touched that line. Right? My analysis does not. My back testing does not support just taking the bounce, just taking the cross of that line. Alec Baldwin, I wonder how it must feel to wrongfully kill somebody. And Cat Turd tweets, worst aged tweet in history. Oh man. They're gonna really bust that guy's balls today. That's unfortunate because I mean it was a bad accident. I didn't think they should make fun of that. Actually, that taste was in bad taste. Cat Turd, sorry. 2 minutes, we'll have to leave. Yeah. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Either way. Anyways, 50. Just think about it. In NQ, if you're trading a 50 lot, you would be like a big fish over there. Okay, so does your one lot matter? It does. It's not enough that you're going to see it directly, but it is enough that over 1,000 trades, there's a measurable impact. Okay, so the first move in the S&P 500 looks like it's down, and yes, DWAC does open above $100. Bruce Lee's son died the same way with a prop gun shooting blanks. So how does that work? Is it like it really is a blank, but the blank was just enough to hurt somebody? Well, yeah, so I can see the equities traders popping in. Good morning, guys. Hey, if you haven't already hit the like button, please help the channel out by clicking the like button. Yeah, that was my thought. Ace was the crow. I'm not too familiar with who it was with the crow. I just remember that it happened. Yeah, they already halted it. 131 spot 9. So DWAC was literally open like a minute and a half, and they halted it. That is so crazy. Okay, so he aces in long. I do kind of like the long. I think I'm a little bit too late. Maybe if we came back to this part of the profile, I could take it like right there. But I don't know if I really want to try and even the sim trades in the mini. I'm not sure if I really want to mess with that today. And I have to watch this DWAC thing because, like, holy crap, guys. Greg says the crow was the muzzle pressure. Oh, really? Oh, because he was like too close, right? That it's just like a crazy story, don't you think? It's interesting. There's a lot of interest about it, of course. I wouldn't necessarily have expected there to be a ton of interest about it, but has enough force. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, isn't it? Is it like that the wadding and the stuff that is part of the blank can come out fast enough to kill somebody still? With there being an accident about that sort of a thing, you would think that they would be more careful about it. Yeah, like never shoot directly into somebody and always have to be so far away. And I don't know. Okay, so what is it? 10 minutes when you get a halt like that, right? Well, this move, like remember yesterday it was like, if this closes at 50, and now it's already at 131. What? Like, wait, what? CGI guns from now on. There are some effects in movies that I feel like they were way better when they had to do the digital effects. Just make some filmmakers lazy, you know? Just saying. Maybe a lot of filmmakers were lazy to begin with, but there's been so many movies where I've been like, like about sci-fi movies, it's like, if they had to deal with the way things were, George Lucas, it maybe would have been a better film. Like the original Star Wars, like if the original Star Wars had an unlimited budget, it wouldn't have been as good of a movie. It wouldn't have. Well, I was looking there like, if it comes back here, I could buy it. I mean, I would have gotten my first two targets, but even if I had bought it at the price that it was, but it certainly didn't come back and fill me if I had taken it. So now on the upside, I guess we would have to be looking for the 45-48, the top of this move, and see if they can get there or not. I mean, if they stop before that, then things get interesting, right? And I used to hate trading on Fridays. I really tend not to do very well on Friday. It's okay. I should probably keep an eye on this DWAC thing for you guys. I do think we are getting some viewers because of the DWAC thing. By the way, somebody was asking that question. I don't know if I completely finished answering the question. Like, I should take my initial investment and let it ride. So if you've made a lot and you want to just take off half of it and let it ride, that's a really good idea. We could also, one thing you could also do is you could say, I think that the most hype is going to be today, so I want to take my profits at the end of the day today. That might be another good way of doing it. I'm going to try and judge the liquidity conditions based on how it's moving, But I wouldn't be surprised if this was able to get into the 200s. JR Norman, good morning. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Well, there's the S&P 500 getting some really good movement there and pushing through a decent amount of orders at 45.44. So that looks really positive. I suppose that, so one of the things is that we were saying it looks like there's some risk off sentiment and the treasuries are moving up because of that. Now that that risk off sentiment is reversing, are we seeing the treasuries move? Not really. So some of the bullishness in equities could just be relief from the interest rates being a little bit lower. Not selling till end of day. Oh wait, what did you take long YouTube Finance, the ES? I mean, so they are turning back there a little bit. At least it's enough to show up on the chart. So now we kind of get to see. Now we kind of get into the interesting stuff, don't we? Looks like the dollar's still just kind of ranging around there. What's Greenwald saying? Oh, they're complaining about the Hunter laptop story. Fed's barking speaking right now. Oh, I'm not hearing it over my new squawk. I need to fix that. It could be more accumulation. In the ES, you really can't say, well, it turned around enough for it to matter. It doesn't. It's just, that's why I said, like, it's enough to show up on a chart, but I don't know if that means that they're gonna stop here and make a lower high and turn back around hard, or what. Okay, so now the treasuries are starting to come back a little bit. Of course, they have a lot further to fall if they're really gonna go, but I bet I'm still trading futures long after DWAC is deflated, delisted, and defunded. Well, it won't be DWAC at that point, right? It's probably going to turn into TMTG. Will probably turn into ticker TMTG. And there will probably be all manner of drama, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, so we've got, in 5 minutes, we've got some fairly important PMI numbers. And DWAC should start trading here in a few seconds. So they're usually not right on. They're usually not right on at the 10 minutes, but Okay, I'm going to reset my DOM levels. I'm keeping an eye on it and waiting for it to start trading again and see what they trade after the halt. I might need to, so hold on, I'm gonna try and mess around here a little bit with my setup. Okay. And then okay. Still not starting yet. E-mini, I mean, they got back up to the highs, but they haven't broken new highs yet. They didn't just like completely flip on their heads though, so that's good for the E-mini. What did you just predict price for, Ace? Was that? No, I didn't predict it. We were saying, hey, maybe it gets into 200s, but I don't know. Have you backtested your inventory cost basis? Yes. And I was mostly just testing it as like, if it crosses this line, etc., etc., etc. I found a lot of really interesting statistical aberrations, but I wasn't able to find anything that was strong enough to justify taking a trade just on the cross of those lines. But we have found that there does appear to be some efficacy in it, in that like there does tend to be reactions to those price levels. So that's why I was saying, like, for instance, we're having a big down move and we're coming back to that seller cost basis. I wouldn't just be buying right there, but there's enough of a probability of a bounce that... Okay, so here's the news. Okay, so the services PMI was higher than expected at 58.2 versus 55.2, and the manufacturing PMI was 59.2 versus an expected 60.2. So services are doing well and manufacturing is not, and that moved the treasuries back up a couple of points. And it looks to me like the DWAC still not unhalted. But that news... Well, and that news was not quite enough to push the E-mini to new highs, but I think it might. It might. Well, it did bounce. In that situation, it did bounce, yes. In that situation, it did bounce. Well, I don't know about that. What I'm saying is DWAC is a flash in the pan. It will go away as soon as everyone realizes it's a paper dragon run by a person who runs everything they did. I don't think that that's an accurate I don't think that is accurate to the reality. So, first of all, with Donald Trump and his success in his businesses, you really have to consider that Donald Trump takes on a lot of risk. So yeah, he's going to have a lot of business ventures that don't pan out in the long run, but like he makes money on in the short term, and he does a lot. I mean, there's a reason why he does a lot of them. Okay, so Democrats really misrepresented his business acumen to make him look bad. The reality is that he is one of the most successful businessmen in America. He earned that reputation for good reasons, and he is a quite effective executive, particularly as it relates to his main core competency, which is the real estate market. He's managed it extremely well. Okay, so this whole idea that just because he's running a SPAC, that means that it's going to turn out to be a scam and it's going to fall apart, I think is a very naive take, to be honest with you, because this is now Donald Trump. You realize he's been talking about running a social network for a long time. His whole thing was Twitter, right? He was famous on Twitter for being tweeting, right? That was the biggest effect that he was having before he became president, was people would follow his tweets. Okay. And now he's starting his own social network, and he's going to start a news network and a streaming service. Right. So I really think that it is foolish, frankly, to think about this move as just like Donald Trump trying to do a get rich quick scheme sort of a thing. I don't think that that's it at all. I think that this is like a legacy project. I think this is like, okay, now that I'm not president anymore, this is going to be my legacy. Because think about it. If he's doing all of that, and I don't know if he ends up being CEO of the new company or how that works out, but how does Donald Trump run as president if he's managing this company, right? He doesn't. Even though he's been talking like he's going to run for president, I think that him doing the news network in particular means he's not going to run for president, right? So, yeah, he's going to put everything into it. So there is going to be a company. This ticker symbol in a few months is going to disappear and be replaced with the ticker TMTG, and it will be a real company. Okay, that much I can almost assure. Okay, now the question is, how effective will that company be? And that's where it gets kind of funny, because with the way that the company is set up right now, I'm not too sure that I would have a ton of confidence about them being massively successful, because I don't really know who's going to be involved. I just know that the people that are led this back seem a little weird. Like, one guy is from Brazil, another guy has most of his business in China. It's just like I'm kind of wonder why they picked that SPAC, but who knows? Okay. So I don't know like who you hire. They do have a website. They do have a website, and I don't know who set that website up. How many people were working on that website, etc. Right? So at the moment, I kind of have to look at it, and I'm like, okay, is this the start of a social media website that's going to be massively popular? Based on what I see right now, at the moment, I don't think so. But it doesn't matter, because here's the thing. Like, look at how much money they're freaking making here, man. They're making billions of dollars through this SPAC, okay? And that's all money that goes into the new company. And it's just like, this happened with Tesla. This happened with Bitcoin. This happened with a lot of companies where they got so many resources that they became a serious company because they had so much money to invest, right? And that's very much what I think you're going to see here is at the moment, it doesn't look like too viable of a competitor, but with all of the money that they're getting from the market here now, they're going to at least be able to make a run. They're going to be able to at least make a run. And of course, it's still going to be hard because you're going up against the biggest guys in the world, right? But they can still make a run. So like this scenario where they really go all out and they become a big cap tech company, you're acting like there's zero chance that happened, but I think that there's a really good probability of that one happening. I wouldn't say that it's greater than 50%. It's maybe like a 30% scenario where they become the top that they can. But think about that in terms of trading. You have a risk-reward ratio where if you lose your investment, and if you win, you make 100 times your money. Okay, and your percentage win rate is 30%. That's a no-brainer long trade. He has the attention span of a grasshopper. I really don't think that this particular business is going to go the way that you're saying. I bet Seth would be successful in Trump media because it favors competence over flatulence. I don't know. I don't know if I have the. There is a portion of the Trump base that at least in the beginning was very favorable to the kind of arguments that I would make, like really having like a sound argument and evidence and everything. But there's a lot of people that have come in that are just driven by hype, and I don't think that I would appeal to enough of those people, So So they are still halted. Okay, so I've got, let's see here. I'll just try and find on here. Okay, DWAC was paused on NASDAQ at 9:30.17, and then DWAC was halted at 9:30.41. I thought that the first pause was only 10 minutes. It still hasn't resumed though. You'll be DWAC rich. No, it won't. It'll help the portfolio out a lot though. If we take some profits on this, it'll give us some flexibility. Or we can just turn around and gamble it all away. That we could do that too. You wish you could invest in it? I have an account to be able to do that. So the E-mini still no new high. Actually came back quite a bit at one point. But trade is looking pretty meh now. Trade is looking pretty meh in the S&P 500, and the Treasuries moved back up to their highs. So I'm glad that I didn't take any trades, because I might have tried to go short at 07 and only gotten a few ticks and be hyper frustrated about it, right? Maybe after we leave though, it does it again and they just sell into the close. Hold on a second here. Okay. And that and expand this a little bit. That's a little better. Okay. This is just rearranging the window here. I noticed my biceps growing for no reason, and then I remembered I eat 12 raw eggs for breakfast. What? I want to go work out, but I've been trying to conserve my energy because I know that I've been the way that my body tends to react when my large intestinal issues flare up. Let's arm wrestle, champ. I want to see this thing open again. Come on. Well, I know I could move this down a little bit too. There we go. Isn't it? It's not normal for them to halt it for a whole 30 minutes, is it? What the heck is this? Loser think how untrained brains are ruining America. Huh. Captain Price has caught some big players. What do you mean? Wow. Wait, what are you talking about, Captain Price? You talking about people with 20k shares in DWAC? I will often see, like on Reddit and wherever, these people with these huge trades. He says, yeah, okay, so people in DWAC. Just some people with taking some absolutely insane risk. And I'm like, how do they have that kind of money? But then you kind of have to realize that, like, if you take big risks, then you'll have that money, have some opportunities. Like think about if we did this, you made, 1,000, 2,000 or whatever. And then you turn around and you YOLO that into some options. And then those options, you make 50K off of it, right? Like people can size out really, really quickly with this sort of stuff. And you'd be really shocked at how long some people can go beginner's luck before it catches up with you, right? Like think about, you've seen that CNBC documentary about floor traders. Oh my gosh, wait, did they open it back up and it immediately halted again? Or am I just not seeing it? Here, let me try opening up like a trade window. It still says halted. but now at 157.50. Yeah, it said a sell order at 200 plus. Well, I have a plan, but like I said, orders have impact, and even though I know that my 18 are small beans, I'm keeping my plan close to my chest. But this is doing zany GameStop level stuff, isn't it? It's called hype fund trading. It's a hedge fund strategy. Well, like I said, listen, man. There's anything that you pick up, if there's anything I can teach you guys that's more important, orders move price. If you can predict orders, you can predict price. Do you think that given this situation, that there will be more people out there trying to buy this thing than trying to sell this thing? You better bet. And how far it can actually go, I don't know. It's getting a little crazy. Like, how do you, given this BS price action, my analysis, how do you even, there's nothing to analyze. They halted and it opens higher. Twitter is down 3.3%. Oh, Snap, Twitter, Facebook reaction to watch too. Yes, because Snap is Snapchat, right? They did not do well. But you know what? Snapchat is done. Snapchat had an okay thing, but the problem with Snapchat was that they never really got to where it was like you were following other people and you really wanted to watch it all the time. And what TikTok did was they took the best part about Snapchat, which was the short videos, and they combined it with machine learning into a system that is highly engaging. TikTok killed Snapchat. And I really don't think that Snapchat can ever recover. Most of social media is done. Yeah. I mean, I think that so Twitter has become so much of a utility. I don't think that Twitter can ever really go away. But that's where it kind of really irritates me or really bothers me that people can be basically removed from Twitter because of their views. There are some people out there that they were literally removed because of their views, and it wasn't because they broke the rules or anything like that. That really bothers me. And I really would like to see this venture of Donald Trump's do well. Would really like to see a strong competitor to Twitter. And if anybody could do it, I think it have to be Donald Trump. It's an awfully large lift, though, man. It's an awfully large lift. I feel sorry for Tesla 907. Ugh. What were they at before earnings? You know what? I stopped watching Tesla because I found it irritating. It was so irritating to me that I eventually just stopped paying attention to it. Snapchat is good for talking to girls, and that's about it. Well, yeah, and I think that was kind of the intention of it originally. Let's come over here and we'll pull up Tesla. 1 year. Oh, it wasn't that bad. 905. That's close to highs, actually. So. Okay, so it looks like it's going again. They've opened up at 171. Oh boy. Yeah, so this has an issue where Yeah, I have to like reload it when it gets halted. Wow. Okay. So I would not have, it was bad. I would not have predicted this. Truth and free speech will prevail at the end. Biden for dumpster 2022. Well, I think it's a more complicated issue than we make it out to be, right? I mean, free speech does have to be a thing, right? But there are a lot of things that are going on online that are being really harmful to our country as well, and we have to be really competitive. And I don't know how you work it out. I don't think that the solution is that you just start censoring people. That's not going to work. So we really need to come up with better ways to help people express themselves better and to create better discourse, which really means that we really need better tools. We need social networks that promote positive interaction, and we need algorithms that don't just shoot for maximum engagement, because maximum engagement is not necessarily a positive thing for people. Okay, so they traded 17. Once they traded 170 after the halt, and then dropped to 144 and halted again. See, they should they should just let it trade, because the halts are harming the liquidity more than the price movement, I think. Just let them trade it out and let the liquidity come back, and then they can go to a real price. The futures are boring in comparison now. Today, it really seems like that's the case, wouldn't you say? I mean, if you had bought the Treasury on the open, you would have gotten an okay trade, and the E-mini was an okay long trade, but it's like been the worst day of the week so far. So far, it's been the worst day of the week. What do you mean by SP future introductions? It says not for me. What, the trading the stocks? Well, I think it's just like everything else we do. If you have an informational edge, then why not trade it? Oh, he says not my worst day of the week trading. No, that's not what I meant. The degree of the move in the S&P is the weakest of the moves this week. I mean, we've had kind of like a buy on the open move up pretty much every day this week, but today's was smaller in magnitude, I believe. Because all of the other days we were getting like 10, 20 points, and this one was only like, 10. This one was only 10, and the other ones were like 3 or 4 times that. It's all like, yeah, I think it is. It's there's a lot of randomness to it, that's for sure. Like this, this here in DWAC, just because of the liquidity, yeah, this is going to do weird things. Like that it opened and immediately went to 144 and then got halted again is not, I wouldn't read into it that at all. That's just the liquidity is so low. One big guy's selling could have caused that, right? One medium-sized guy selling could have caused that. The warrants are still trading. Yeah, because I don't... the warrants shouldn't move as much anymore, right? Gold... Oh, yeah, you're good point. Gold did take another little leg up. Well, the dollar took another little leg down is what happened there. I think that gold is mostly reacting to the dollar, but with interest rates kind of declined a little bit after those PMIs, and that helps gold. I can't tell you, gold being above 1800 is a really positive sign for them. And silver's recovering really hard too. You covered implied volatility before. I noticed there are two colors with one red and one black, and sometimes I see them interchanged, black on top and red at the bottom, vice versa. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about my implied volatility targets? Okay. Ooh, I get a month for $1 on TradingView. Oh, okay. So you're saying gray, the gray line was the open. And then this is first target, second target up, first target, second target down. Makes sense? So you're going to reach that first target like 65% of the time or something like that. Like it's a very high percentage of the time. And that second target is still really high. But beyond that second target, you're talking about a really crazy move. Okay. So like this is like standard move. This is like a big move. And then beyond that is like a, whoa, what the heck is going on? This never happens kind of a move. Why is the gray? The gray just tells you where it opened at, right? It just allows me to see, where that one particular candle started. What does the open? Well, that's when it calculates it. Basically, what it's doing is it's saying, what is the price and what is the VIX at the open? And then that's what it bases its estimates at. You could make like a rolling estimate per se, but it doesn't appear to be as useful. Okay, so it opened up again and traded down and halted again. Oh, I saw price bounce off it a few times and didn't know what it was for. Oh yeah, it was just bouncing off of the open. Yeah, it's funny, yeah. Well, DWAC is just zany. No, nobody really could have sold around the 1700 area though, huh? For the few moments that it's open though, there's a lot of volume going through. But it's a liquidity hole, right? I guess I forgot to point out that the Treasury did fall 3 ticks or so, and the curve flattened considerably there. Once again, flattening considerably. I don't like the flattening, guys. The flattening is not good. I mean, I don't think, I'm not sure it's like a huge deal. Like, yeah, our interest rates, if inflation is transitory, our inflation rate's not going to be super crazy in 10 or 20 years. Yeah, like, is there really a reason for the 30-year to be rising a ton? Maybe not. But the flattening overall is not necessarily a good thing, right? It's bad for your banks. It's bad even if the interest rates are rising. Yeah, what was Bitfinex talking about over here earlier? Lowy Dannenberg PC investigates claims against cryptocurrency issuer Tether Unlimited. Lowry Dannenberg PC, a preeminent law firm in obtaining redress for consumers and investors, is investigating consumer claims for violation of consumer protection statutes by Tether Limited, as well as its affiliates Ifinex, etc., etc. If you purchase the cryptocurrency Tether, you may contact Lowry Dannenberg attorneys at investigations@lowy.com. Our investigation concerns whether Tether Limited's representations regarding Tether constitute deceptive and unfair trade practices, violating the consumer protection laws of various states. If you purchase Tether, you may have legal claims against Tether Limited and its affiliate Bitfinex. Yes, you bought Tether and you made money. It was so awful. Oh, I don't know about this one. But like, they're totally right. Like they do violate the laws, but what kind of damages do you get, you know? How would you determine damages? Well, I was all excited to watch DWAC trade here, and we've only gotten 4 bars. It's been open. It's been trading for like a total of like 40 seconds today. Oh, man. The Pelosi-Biden-Schumer lunch is entering brunch territory, tweets Jake Sherman. You would sell it in the 70s? Why? Like, the price movement doesn't matter, right? You realize that the prices that it turned out and everything are just random because it's a liquidity. Like, there's no liquidity. There's no liquidity because they keep halting it. So, like, there's all these people that want to trade it, obviously. Just because it sold down those 3 bars in those few seconds probably doesn't really tell us anything about what it's going to do in the future. That could be the top. We'll grant you that. Could totally turn out that way, but like there's no way for us to really know. Alec Baldwin is reportedly devastated by fatal gun tragedy. You know, let's see. I think that one of the things that has to happen is you have to create like there's just gaps of faults, yeah. But once they've established like a high and a low bounce, then what might happen is people might actually be able to trade it, you know, and then we actually get to see what happens. Speech by Governor Bowman on the lack of new bank formations being a significant issue for the banking industry, being tweeted by the Federal Reserve. FBI said that it had determined the remains discovered at Florida Nature Reserve the day before belonged to Brian Laundrie. Okay, so what do we got here from unusual activity? It wants me to log in. Now, shares of Funware soared more than 1,000% after Digital World Acquisition announced the merger. It's an advertising startup associated with the former president and appears to be benefiting from the deal. I see. Twitter's getting pretty quiet now. Well, the E-mini has been a little messy today, but they could move higher. 47 was kind of like where we were looking for it to go to yesterday, and they could never quite get there. Well, actually, they did get there, though, didn't they? Yeah. The close. They did reach it in the end. Shell is preparing to restart a key oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico that has been shut since Hurricane Ida struck the region in August. Well, oil is kind of turning down. I don't know if that's related to that news or not. Okay, so here they're going again. They are at 99. And it's halted. Is Kyle rich? Wait, who are we? Were you talking about, Kyle? I'm not gonna worry about it. You're all telling me like, you're gonna get too antsy about it. You're the one that sounds antsy, man. Here's the thing: is like, even if I wanted out, I wouldn't be able to be, right? Like, it's only open for a few seconds. If I was trading on a DOM, it would be hard to get out, right? No, sir. So if you wanted to get out, you kind of just have to wait until it's actually like trading again for more than a few seconds. I mean, we should keep in mind they opened above 100, and yesterday they closed at 55. So the times and sells are so weird during those halts when share lots. They do allow people. Well, do they allow people out still? No, I don't think in futures you're allowed to sell, but you don't actually see any volume going through, so I don't think that you're allowed to do that in a stock. You can't short it? Well, how do you know? Like, how do you know that it's not just going to jump back up to 200 though? Like, it can probably move back up just as easily and quickly. Although I think that it would probably be better if like we form a floor and kind of trade a little bit more slowly and it's a gradual rise rather than everybody trying to just do something at the moment. And there's a pretty significant uptick there in the 10-year. You think it goes to the mid zone? Well, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it just continued to decline back to 55 too. Yeah, so you're making all of these scenarios based on it crossing a particular price that we have no ability to predict, Captain Price. Like when how many orders is in here? Okay, so like 1 million shares. Well, and how much is this going to trade for the day. It's been 41 million shares already today. The liquidity is just awful, right? Really, like think about this in the treasuries. Imagine if the treasuries had like 50 lots at every price, and you're like, okay, they stopped at 08.5 and then they came back a little bit. Are you gonna say then, well, there's no way that they can take out 09? Well, when we're looking at the liquidity, there's no way we're gonna make that bet, right? Because we know that it wouldn't take very many orders at all for them to tick through it. It would just take somebody just randomly placing their trade at just the right moment for it to go through and it go higher. So, if it's like really, really thick and there's a lot of volume trades at a particular price and it bounces off of it, and then you can say, oh yeah, like there was a big guy holding it there and there's no way that it's going to be able to get to that price, and there was so much activity level at that price that now the activity and the interest is going to die down, right? Well, that's not the situation that we have over here. It's an illiquid market that people just are dying to trade. It could do anything. It could literally do anything. It could bounce, it could drop all the way back to 40, it could jump all the way back up to 200. And it probably would have already done one of those two things if it wasn't for the freaking halts. Dow Jones, Google takes a cut of 22 to 42% of U.S. ad spending that goes through its systems, according to a newly unredacted lawsuit by state attorney generals. By the way, now that the Treasury is up higher, there's a pretty big stack there at 08.5, which is a little bit curious and you might need to be a little skeptical about. That it kind of looks like this could be where they push up a little bit further and distribute, and then eventually that 08.5 disappears. S&P 500 just took a big jump there. What was that? Was that Tesla jumping up there? Because I just saw a bunch of tweets about Tesla. I think it may be. As Tesla is now at 909. Octavia says it's a 2,800 lot market buyer. Yeah, okay. That about makes sense. What about at the 10? That's curious too. I feel like that this looks like them trying to coax people into buying more because they want out. That happens a lot in the 10-year. I don't know. When that happens, it's usually like they move up a little bit further and then that's the end. I shouldn't be trying to make that out like a prediction. That's just been the recent history. I kind of have to wonder now. So now where they're at with the 10-year compared to yesterday, the 10-year point of control was 130.12. So it wouldn't be crazy for them to push up a lot more here. Well, now that they've traded back down, there's a big stack at 09.5 as well. And the order at 08.5 is smaller. In fact, it's all pulled off now. Hum. ATH also. You mean ETH? Let me pull that. I don't have that up. Oh, no. It looks like Bitcoin experienced another flash crash here. That's interesting. So the cryptocurrency market has been experiencing a decline the past few days. And I expected that they would continue to try and run as a bull through mid-November. Look at that. See, that is exactly what I was worried about, right? It comes, there's a big stack there, and then they don't trade anything on it. They trade the other way, and look, now the stack the other way. They're just screwing with you. They're sticking large orders out there to coax orders. Coaxing orders out. So dirty. Like, if we go out and we find out that the person that put the big bid there was the same person that had the big offers at 10 and 9.5, and the same person that's got the big offer now at 0.8, I think that should be grounds for legal action. Well, the S&P 500 had like a really great jump up there to a new high, and they came back hard. Okay, so there's the DWAC opening again. And this time, maybe actually getting some real trade going through. So it hasn't halted yet. Of course, all it would take would be for them to jump back up to 100 and they will halt it again. Right? So, The Street, JP Morgan upgrades Zoom, ZMN said the video conferencing app could be a winner in enterprise or B2B communication. I don't know what that means, B2B. Business to business communication. Is the way too volatile is going to halt itself? Yeah, they halted on the way up now. So are we going to see a bunch of these where they just move up now again? That was better. I mean, it lasted longer. There was more volume in that candle. That could be like that could be buyers feeling some confidence that they can try and trade it, you know. Man, how many times are we gonna get halted today? You know what? It's just like futures trading. We need smaller goals, right? So how about our goal just be if DWAC can just stay open for a full minute? That's a reasonable goal, right? What if we can just trade just for a full minute, maybe? Right? This is really zany, isn't it? Seems like there is a lot of business going on today for a Friday. It looks like gold kind of slowed down a little bit at 1811. 1811. Mm-hmm. Oh, S&P gain today would make it the first 8-day win streak since March/April of 2019. Really? I thought we had a much longer streak than that in 2020. Let's see here. The Fed can learn from the ECB and the Bank of England climate stress testing, says Fed's Dally. Okay, sure. Why not? Why not? I read this article where they were going through like what would have to happen in order to meet the climate goals that are being set out there. And the amount of money that central banks would have to print to do it was like really obscene and was a serious drag on the economy in the study. It was. Very interesting article. I think I saw it on Zero Hedge. You think you see a trap in ES? Well, I don't know, man. You're throwing out all of these numbers, and every time I look at it, I'm like, doesn't mean anything. So no, there's no real point in telling me about a number unless we can prove that the number has efficacy, right? Okay, so even though the 10-year dropped there and had that big order, like it's come back up. So they're stirring the pot. They are stirring the pot. And when they're stirring the pot, you gotta be careful, right? I usually get screwed over in these kinds of situations. I see the activity, I want to take a trade, and I've now realized that what they're doing is they're stirring around the liquidity, and that's not a favorable place to trade. Jake Sherman tweets, Pelosi said a deal is within reach. She is not sure about the timing. Okay, so what's going on, by the way, over in Congress is that it sounds like Sienna is getting close to making a deal, and that they may actually get their big $3 trillion whatever. Might be a lot, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so you know what's something really weird? Because Jordan Peterson has been tweeting on Twitter again lately, and he watches TikTok. Who watches TikTok? Okay, so DWAC is now open again. It looks like we're getting a little bit of positive action. Let's get this bread. I mean, if they were to, I would be ecstatic if they were to reach 200 today, but I don't know. I am feeling rather uncomfortable. Why should you have the right to do that? You are putting me on the spot? Wait, what? What are you talking about, bro? About getting bread? You bought in at 17. Good for you, Thomas. Good for you. You got a 10x. If you had a sell order at 17, you would have gotten 10x. That's crazy. A 10 bagger. Now remember, the 20 bagger is like the one. That's the one that, like, you know, you only catch a few times in your career. A 20 bagger. On Jordan Peterson. I think that was all there was to it. It was Jordan Peterson watches Twitter. Jordan Peterson watches TikTok, I think. Seems to me that he watches TikTok. I think it could go to 1,000, says Thomas Payne. It is possible. Obviously, for that to happen today would be a little nutty, but I don't know. You're getting some pretty okay price action at the moment. Oh, no, don't go too quickly. Do not go too quickly. Listen, if you're buying this right now, you don't want to put it all in all at once, right? Use a large meta order, buy little bits at a time. Give the liquidity opportunities to adjust. Because when you just come in and try and buy all of it, then they halt it and the liquidity goes away and it makes it harder for you to get in. I wish I could just talk to everybody that buys stocks and say to them, guys, if you're trading a large size, you've got to split it up because the liquidity can't handle this amount of contracts that you're trying to put through. And that when it halts, that's a really bad thing for you if you're trying to buy and accumulate because you're increasing your impact. Okay, so now there's 119. And did they just halt it again? No. I'm still seeing volume trade. They just got a pretty big meta order right there at 119. It looks like large iceberg at 119. Yeah. Yep. Because there's a lot trading there. And I wish that this thing over here showed you the volume more. No. Yeah, I really wish that it would show you more of the volume, but in the chart. But I can see the volume over here on this other thing that I'm looking at, and I can see them smashing into some icebergs there. The idea is where the 1/10 of Facebook could drive the price to 2,000. I do think long term, if it really works out, and I think that that's a really, really hyper speculative thing for us to say, that yes, it could be up into the 1,000, 2,000 based on market cap. When we're looking for it to trade, like the thing that's crazy about it, when we're looking for it to trade is that because of the demand and the liquidity restraints that we have in this market right now, you really can go into just crazy heights, you know? Like at the moment, valuation doesn't really matter. All that matters is how many people want to buy it and how much liquidity there is, right? And again, like we got up to 17 and then turned around there after that one, the halt, and it kind of flipped around. And now we've kind of flipped around to the positive side, you know, because of the liquidity, it is just as possible that we would have drove back up and beaten 200, you know? Now that we've kind of hit like a pivot high and a pivot low, a lot of people will use those as anchors. And so we'll probably be able to get more reasonable trade, but it could still jump right back up there, you know? While the street asks, will Tesla or Facebook join the 1 trillion market cap first? Seeing more tweets about Pelosi saying that a deal is close. We're getting close to our time to quit. I would love to stay with you guys all day again. I don't have as many viewers as we did yesterday anyways, but yeah, I got some things that I want to get done today, so I am going to have to end the stream here in about 10-15 minutes. Market is a messy. But I appreciate you guys, and if you haven't already, make sure you click that like button and subscribe. We're here every weekday morning. I've been doing this for years and years and years. Feels like years and years and years. It's only been like 4 or 5 years in reality. Yeah, see, this is much more positive upside action. Now, they did trade a lot of contracts there in the 120-ish area, and it looks like there's still some stuff there. So there's probably some icebergs and resistance and so forth at that location. And we should be careful, because if they spike through it, that could create a liquidity hole that kind of acts as a magnet for a little while, right? Although there's plenty of, I don't know how much that will matter in this kind of situation, because there's probably just not a lot of liquidity ahead. Like if they bust through this liquidity, here at 120, and I can't really see the order book, so I can't really judge how much it is. I can just see it. I can just see the price hitting into it and seeing the volume that's trading at it is all. So if we do smash through that liquidity, right, they could just whoosh, but you just got to be careful, because we know that above that, it's going to be harder. I was just looking at the camera here and I was like, I have a really nice camera. The treasuries are still kind of chomping at those highs. It's the 30-year is the one kind of dragging them higher here in this instance. It's just flattening again. You can see the micros over here just looking like, ugh. Ugh. The micros actually led on that. They traded down a few before the 10-year ticked up. Okay. Now there's still just looks like a wall of liquidity at 120. How high do we? I said 120, right? I think that the 10-year will tag 120. I think that we're getting it. It's so close to it now. There's a really high probability they're going to touch 120. I shouldn't call it 120. 12 even right there. 130, 12 even. Highly likely to trade, in my estimation. Okay, a little bit of selling there now. I don't know, like that 12 area is likely to become a hole and be an area where they find balance. Just looking at it here in the moment. There's the Treasury deciding to tick new highs again. We could have taken this, right? We could have made a good trade on this if we had gone long in the Treasury. Would I have tried going long? I don't know. Okay, so there's a pretty big downtick at 104.62, and now I'm seeing a decent amount of volume come through. Okay, and they halted it again. It stopped it. There was still volume seen. I was like, should be ticking around, but no, it was just max offer. Even he's looking a little sad now. You never took that short? Treasury's maybe backing off a little. They did tick 12. I don't know what happens from here. Maybe the S&P 500 just like goes full on selling, and then the treasuries move up a considerable amount. Cleanest moves today seem to be in the commodities space. Well, the dollar was a little bit weaker, so a lot of those moved because of that. Well, I'm not going to be able to wait around for Digital World Acquisition Corp to start trading again. So I think we're just going to have to end it there. What should we set the title for today? Say, there's so many things that we could go into. What today's gain adds another 100% gain. Let's say DWAC doubles overnight. 20-second save. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Hopefully we'll be able to get a good video out on Monday. We'll see. I think that my wife might be home this weekend, so I'm going to try my hardest for you guys. No guarantees, though. And anyways, in the meantime, I'll see you guys on Monday. Stay profitable.